Hello, beautiful souls. Today I wanted to have a chat about how I manifested my dream home. I think this is one of those things that a lot of people want, right? Like we want to have that stability. We want to have a sacred space. We want to manifest a home that feels safe and grounded and is a reflection of who we are, what we desire, and all those lovely things. And for me, manifesting my dream home, it all happened in a very different timeline, in a different way than I imagined it. But when I manifest, I'm always focusing on this or something better. And so if any of you know California, I grew up in a small town, Carpinteria. It's a beautiful little beach town. And I think when I was 19, I was like ready to get out and move to LA. And I ended up being in LA County and in Long Beach for about 20 years. But after 10 years, I was ready to come home. Like I really wanted to come back. And I knew that that was a non-negotiable for me. At some point, I was going to make my way back here. But what happened was I met my husband at the time, and his business was in Long Beach, and I went to school in Long Beach. That's how I met him. We were in the same town, and I ended up staying. You know, for me, it was worth it to stay there for the person that I love, for my soulmate. But one of the non-negotiables was, if you're going to marry me, you eventually have to move back to Santa Barbara County. And because I had been in the city for a while, I always thought that when I was going to move back, it was going to be Santa Barbara, which is a little bit bigger. It's a little bit north of Carpinteria. But in the end, I ended up coming back to Carpinteria, my small town, a block away from the house that I grew up in, and it ended up being the best thing for me. And it happened in a very different timeline than I expected and in a different way than I expected. But a couple things on manifesting, big things, or on manifesting like your dream home. There's not one specific way to manifest. Like when we're manifesting, yes, we're showing up in alignment and we're doing our best to think positive, to address our heavy emotions when they come up and process them and move through them. But it's not like there's one specific way of, hey, I've got to write down these affirmations every day, or I need to say them out loud, or, you know, I need to keep it to myself and just focus on it and visualize it and feel it in 3D. Like there's so many different ways. Oops, sorry, my alarm was going off. I woke up a few hours earlier than I was anticipating. When we're manifesting, it's not like there's one specific way of doing things. We have all of these tools to help us get into alignment, to help us be in a frequency that allows us to collapse time and bring what we want to us in the physical world. And so whatever tools you use, allow it to be a part of your experience. And one of the things that I highly focus on is being action oriented, right? If you want to build a business, you have to take action. If you want a new job, you have to seek it out. You have to apply for it. You have to take action. And action is so important in so many of the things that we want to manifest in our life. It's not just visualizing or thinking positive and, you know, having that expectation and that faith. Those are all important things. But what I found was when I was trying to manifest my dream home, I was really pushing for it. Like I was actively trying to find a way, and I just kept butting up against walls. I kept butting up against no's, right? Like of not making it happen, of blocks that felt like too big to make that shift to a different city. And a lot of that was at the time, like my husband's business, like how are we going to transition that? How are we going to make that happen? And it just kept feeling impossible. And so finally, after, oh gosh, how many years? Maybe like 7 or 8 years, probably 8 years, I would say. I just decided, okay, I've got to let it go. Like we keep trying, like we keep doing the action and trying to make plans and trying to figure it out. And I just had to surrender. I just had to kind of let go and decide I'm going to let it happen in divine timing, and I'm not going to try and control so much of the details. And a couple things that I did. One, I have affirmations that I listen to, ones that I record my own voice. And one of the things that I recorded in 2022 was I recorded myself saying, I'm moving back to Santa Barbara in 2023. So it was probably about mid-years, around summertime, and I made that decision, and I listened to that affirmation over and over again. I would go for my beach walks, and I'm like listening to my own affirmations and allowing myself to just kind of soak in and believe and visualize and feel those things. And so listening to my own affirmations, saying when I was going to move, the year I was going to move, and I just kind of surrendered all the details. I didn't take action. I just let myself believe and know that that was what was coming for me. And then in 2023, it was probably about a year later, I was visiting for about a week. I was staying in my sister's house because we were moving another sister back. I have 4 sisters, by the way. And when I left the house and I was going for a beach walk, because I love my beach walks, I got maybe a 1 block away, 2 blocks away, and I heard this voice. I heard Spirit tell me, you're going to move into this house by the end of the year. And I was like really taken back. I was like, that is a really weird message to receive. And sometimes when I receive these psychic and intuitive messages, they come in so fast and so clear, and they don't make sense to me. Like, how am I going to be moving into the house my sister's living in? Like, she loves this house. There's no way. Like this, it just didn't make sense to me. But I felt like the house was talking to me. The spirits were talking to me. And by the way, this is my great-grandparents' house. So I do have my ancestors here helping support me every step of the way. And my first thought was, well, how am I going to get her out of the house? How's this going to work? And I was like, you know what, Natalie, it's not your job. Just keep going for your beach walk. Keep doing your thing. And along with this, as I was listening to those affirmations, and even before I received this message, there was an interesting moment that I had maybe, oh gosh, how many years prior? Maybe 3 years prior. So probably around 2020. I actually stayed in this house when my sister had first moved in. I was sleeping on the couch, and because I channel, my great grandmother came to me and was like, if your sister ever wants to buy this house or needs this house, just let her know she can call on me, because our ancestors are there, one, to help support us. They are part of our spirit team. They are like our angels and our spirit guides, and they can work magic, right? Like they can actually help support us through some of these things that we want to create. And she's like, let your sister know. And so I did. The next morning I was like, great granny came to me. This is what she said. You can call on her and she'll help support you with anything in this house. And so I remembered that. And as I was listening to my affirmations for that year and a half, and this was probably about a year prior to when I had heard the voice tell me I was going to move into this house, I started calling on her. I was living in Long Beach, and I was like, well, if she can help my sister, maybe my great granny can help me too. So I started praying to her. I actually started calling her in and being like, help me move to Santa Barbara. Like, work your magic, help me get to Santa Barbara. And I kept visualizing being in Santa Barbara, not Carpinteria. But, I called in my ancestors to help me. I actually called in my spirit team to help me. And I just surrendered the process, and I listened to my affirmations, and I just believed and kind of let go and didn't take a whole lot of action other than just trusting that it was going to happen. And then I got that message, and within, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 months, all of a sudden, my sister got proposed to, she was engaged, and they had their wedding very shortly after. They'd already been together for a few years. And within 3 months, she was going to be out of this house. And so the house was open. So it was a family house, and it was available. And I was like, this is it. Like, I just felt when I knew she was going to be leaving that this was supposed to be my house. It's a house that feels very much like home. It's been in our family for generations. It's a block away from where I grew up. At the time, my grandmother was still living next door. She passed away a year ago. But it just felt like everything was coming together. And in that moment, I realized, okay, we now have to find a way to make this work. And so that was when I took action. I just surrendered, and when the opportunity arose, that was when I got into kind of like hustle mode to figure it out. How are we going to get here? How are we going to do it in 3 months? And part of what I was also simultaneously manifesting at the time was that I knew intuitively if you don't know my whole story, I was kind of coming out of a brain injury. I was literally laying in bed for close to 3 years, because my brain injury was so severe. I had so many neurological issues. It was very, very painful to be sitting, standing, moving for more in the first 6 months, more than 15 to 30 minutes. In the first 4 to 6 months, I could probably only walk 3 blocks. And that was very hard on me to be so isolated for so long. And I know everyone can sort of understand this because we all went through COVID together. This was about a year after COVID. So I'd already been home for about a year. And then it was almost 3 years that I was on bed rest. There were moments that I could get up a little bit more, but I still, at that point, wasn't really able to work out for more than 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes, because it was just so painful. It was so hard on my body. It was so hard to recover from the brain injury, and it was difficult to carry on conversations. So I just knew for me, part of getting better, part of healing from the brain injury was going to be getting up and getting out of the house. I knew I couldn't stay home and just work from my computer at home anymore. I knew I needed to get up, get dressed, leave the house, interact with other people. I needed an opportunity and a place where I could have an outside job. That was very much part of what I knew, the core of me. My intuition knew, Natalie, if you are going to heal 100% from this brain injury, this is something that you need in your life. And that was something that I then started to hustle and find. So part of this transition was finding a perfect job that could help support, we had 2 places because we're living in Long Beach and having a house here. So I was we need the extra income. I was able to find a job that was perfect for me, that allowed me to be in my zone of genius, doing a lot of wellness coaching, still kind of in that coaching management realm. And the community that I found, it was absolutely amazing. It's literally 5 minutes from the house that I'm in now. And everything just kind of fell into place. I took action when action was ready, when the opportunity arose. But I really surrendered the process before then, and I just allowed intuition to come in. I allowed the spirits to come and bring me the information that I needed, and I followed the guidance. And I think this is where, when we think about manifesting, there's so many ways that things can come about. For example, if you want that job, if you want to be somewhere, you do have to take action, right? You do have to do things to make it happen. But if you're feeling like you keep butting up against walls, sometimes we need to just step back and trust and surrender and just get into alignment and allow the opportunities to come up for us. And when the opportunities do come, we're ready to take action, because sometimes the action is the surrender. The action is the letting go. The action is getting into alignment. The action is listening when your intuition comes through, listening when your spirits and your guides start talking to you and telling you what the next step is. I had information coming through every step of the way. I started praying to my ancestors to help support me with this move, to manifest coming back to my hometown and being in a beautiful space. And what I didn't realize was, even though I had originally wanted to move to Santa Barbara, it's a little bit of a bigger city, there's a little more going on, I really needed this house with this beautiful yard and my lemon tree out in my front yard. And I needed to be just a couple blocks from the beach in a very quiet neighborhood, in a home that my ancestors have been in. They're helping me to heal on a very deep physical, mental, emotional, spiritual level. They have supported me every step of the way through this entire process. And part of this process, sometimes there are things that come with it that you just don't expect. Whenever I manifest, I'm always thinking this or something better. The universe knows what I need. And part of what I didn't know what I needed was a divorce. And I'll go into talking about this in another episode that, I chat about. Today I really just wanted to talk about manifesting the dream home and what that process looked like. But sometimes there are things that come into our life that we don't expect. I was definitely not expecting it. I knew there were things that weren't working. I really thought that somehow moving here and having a home with a beautiful yard in a quiet neighborhood was going to change our lifestyle. It was going to bring us more peace and a better quality of life than being in LA County and just how congested it is there, and the pollution and just the energy of so many people. I really thought this was somehow going to save us as a couple. But then what I realized once I got here was there were things that just hadn't been working for so long that it was time for us to part. And sometimes we need that space, but I do believe it all happened for my highest and best good. I really do, because the person that I have become, not only the healing from being in this house, from finally moving, from finally manifesting a dream home, manifesting coming home and being surrounded and closer to family. I was a few hours away before, and now they're just a couple minutes away from me. Manifesting being closer to my family again was so important. Having that community and that support. I feel like I didn't have that for a long time. I've met so many incredible people in the last year and a half through work, through friends of friends, and through the community. Started dancing again. I have a beautiful group of women that I've been connecting with. That's just really amazing. And there are so many things that this move, manifesting coming back to this town, manifesting coming into a space where I could really thrive and not only heal, but expand and thrive in ways that I needed to for so long. And I knew I wasn't going to get the healing, and I knew I wasn't going to experience the up-leveling if I had stayed in Long Beach. I just knew that my time was done there. I'd been there long enough, 17 years. It was really time for a shift. And the shifts within me that have changed, even in the last 6 months, once I had started to go through the divorce and kind of process things, as hard as that was, it opened up so many new opportunities for me to step more into who I truly am. Sometimes we have to shed and let go of the things that we don't realize are holding us back, or not even holding us back, but influencing us in a way that we're not showing up in our highest and best light. And so I never want to play the victim and be like, oh, these things happened to me, or this person made me this way. I think we show up differently when we're in different places with different people in different life situations. Some of it is conscious, some of it is unconscious. And I think there were a lot of unconscious patterns that I was holding on to that I didn't realize. And a lot of that was the interplay of things that were going on in my life, who I was surrounded by, and all of that. And when we start to shed away the things that are no longer serving us for our highest good, and we allow ourselves to go through the hard things, to go through the grief, to shift, we can really come into a space where we are more who we genuinely want to be. We have more space around us, we have more time, we have more energy to show up in our highest light. And so, anyways, long story short, that's kind of how I manifested shifting and being in a new space, being in my new home, in my new town. It was definitely a different process than I thought, and different than some of the other things. Sometimes we really do just need to take action every step of the way to get to our goals and to reach things. And like I said, with this house, it ended up being more of letting go, surrendering. I didn't think I was going to be here. I thought I was going to be in another part of town. It's not the timing I thought it was going to be. It's not the specific location. But once I got here, I realized, wow, this is exactly what I needed. This is where I'm supposed to be right now. And this is a space where I can really grow and thrive and be lit up and step into a greater version of myself, the next level version of myself. And it's allowed me a lot of space to find more of myself in my own energy, which has been really lovely and beautiful. So sometimes we get what we need in the timing that we need. And so just surrender a little more, allow things to come through in whatever timing they're meant to. I am very much about the divine timing. And even though I got here a decade later than I originally thought, and even 5 years later than my second guess was, I feel like this happened in the time and way it was meant to, and it is very lovingly and well received. And I'm just so grateful for my life. I'm grateful for the things that have come in. I'm grateful for where I'm at, and I'm grateful for being in this home. This home holds so much beauty and love and support. And if you just keep following your intuition, right? Keep taking in the messages that are coming for you, and slow down and step back and surrender and allow yourself to be in a receptive mode. And when you're channeling your intuition, you're channeling your spirit guides, and me, my ancestors that are coming through as my angelic spirit guides, that's a receptive mode. We are receiving. And so I didn't actually realize that until right now, but when we're manifesting, we're in receiving mode. We are in the mode of just allowing ourselves to surrender, and then to be able to receive. And really, that's what channeling is too. When you're channeling your intuition, when you're channeling your spirit team, you are literally shifting into a state of peace, of soothing, shifting your brainwave frequencies, and you're allowing yourself to just be open to receive. So intuition and all this spiritual work really aligns with manifesting a lot more than people realize. There's so many more parallels. It actually gets you into manifestation mode. Not only do you get the information, the next steps, the messages that you need. Remember, I heard the voice say, you're going to be living in this house by the end of the year. I heard these things coming through. I prayed. I brought in my spirit team to help support and cultivate me getting into this house and experiencing what I needed to experience to level up my life and find more joy and fulfillment and all of these wonderful things that allow me to feel more free and heal my body in ways that I don't think I would have healed had I stayed where I was. You know, my body has been through a lot with the brain injury and so many other neurological issues that I had over the decades. And to be able to be in a space, a truly healing space, is absolutely beautiful. And I'm just so grateful for that spiritual guidance every step of the way, because I don't know how I would have done it otherwise. And so definitely keep developing your intuition. Keep opening yourself up to receiving, because it's a big part of manifesting. It's a big part of manifesting for me. And a lot of people do it and don't realize it. They don't necessarily label it as intuition, but they just get these hunches or these knowings. And, you know, whatever language you use, however you label your intuition or channeling, it's coming through. We all have that ability. But when you're able to master it and really step into that a lot more, that's going to give you the opportunity to receive more of your manifestations too. So anyways, I hope this inspired you a little bit, maybe got you to think about manifestation and intuition just generally in a different way, but also maybe some strategies for how you can manifest your own dream home, or just analyze, how are you manifesting things right now? Are you pushing too hard? Or do you need to surrender more? Do you need to step back? Do you need to follow your intuition? Are there some tools and strategies you can use to help you get there faster, like listening to your affirmations and, you know, visualizing all of those things? Maybe it is time for you to take action instead of stepping back. Maybe it's time for you to step back instead of taking a ton of action and just get into alignment. It depends on what you're manifesting, where you are, where your energy is at, and there's a lot of these layered nuances. Your intuition will always tell you, if you slow down and just breathe into it, what is best for your path. And so listen to that, because that is where the magic happens. That is when things speed up. That's when you start making more quantum leaps, because you're actually following what's going to be the best path for you overall, based off of what your soul needs in the moment. So I hope this inspired you today. I love you so much. Thank you so much for listening. And if you've got any questions on any of this, let me know, because I am more than happy to answer your questions and help support you every step of the way with everything that you want to manifest. I really want to see you thriving and just living your best life. The more people we have on this planet that are happy and in alignment and doing the things that light them up, receiving the things that light them up, we raise the vibration of everyone on this planet. We inspire more people to show up as their best selves. And that just makes a happier world overall. That's why we're here, right? To enjoy, to have fun, and to live a beautiful life. So, love you guys.